had to put the gum in my mouth because, I need stuff to chew when I get all nervous because spirit likes to chime in. So I'm always chewing on gum when I do this or when I do readings. It's one of my weird quirks that I have. So, hi, Mandee. How are you this beautiful Monday?
I am so good. How are you, Crystal?
I'm great. I am great as well. I don't know. What do we want to talk about today?
Well, I think we should ask our listeners, our watchers, if they have any questions.
Hi,
I
Heather.
like there's a couple topics coming up. One is self-trust. It has been a really big theme right now for a lot of people and a lot of things. I think we touched on it a tiny bit last week when we were talking about this Aquarian revolutionary energy that's coming in. You all right? You comfy over there?
Yeah, I'm choking myself. Sorry, y'all.
Like, are you having a witch past life flashback or something? Are you getting burned over there? As soon as we talk about self-trust, Crystal's whole entire neck starts to get itchy and hot.
Coming in flames. It's funny because it does look a little bit red, doesn't it? It does look like the self-trust is coming to the surface. I'm sorry. I'll shut up and stop burning myself.
One time I was co-hosting a retreat and we were doing some serious healing, and there was probably like 12 women in a circle, and one of them started to share about some things, and it really she was talking about kind of the energy of feeling persecuted, and she had like a business partner stabbed her in the back and something happened, and I don't know, there was some kind of review written online, and she was just like, this just has nothing to do with me. And she was telling this story, and as she was telling it, her throat, it literally looked like there was a rope burn. I've never seen anything like it. It was an inch, and it was just this red. And I've seen people get blotchy and hot and all those things, but this looked like I've never seen anything like it.
Like a legitimate noose type thing that you saw.
I was like, oh my God. And it was the
Wow.
burn. It was red. And the other women saw how red it was too. And I think it was really an energetic release, because as she shared, as she allowed herself to be held, as she stepped into the moment, because she was looking at all the things that it did for her too. And even though it was really shitty what happened, it did make her stronger. And so I think she was able to heal some karmas and released some wounds that she had brought in this lifetime. So it's interesting how that can happen.
It is kind of funny how it can happen, how healing brings so we all know, Mandee and I have talked about autoimmunes, and before I go any further, we have Heather, Denise, Jessie, Jennifer, and we've got other comments. So hi everybody, thank you for tuning in to us.
Jennifer, Midge, and I are holding it down. We're talking about witch wounds right now. We started with self-trust, and now it's heading into witch wounds and persecution wounds, and being, feeling safe enough to speak your truth.
Yeah, and it's craziness how much that comes to the surface, but we've talked a little bit about our autoimmunes and stuff like that, and I've talked a lot with my rheumatologist, who also is such an empathic, beautiful person who understands the energetic and the healing and all that stuff. And so we talk about that. When I get flares, it's generally around a time that I'm learning to heal through something else. So the physical pain comes to the surface as the emotional pain or emotional experience also comes to the surface. It is so weird once we finally start to get in tune with our body, what some of these things mean. And especially if she was persecuted in a past or several past lives, because I feel like who you're talking about probably was. You were there, I wasn't, but they're making me feel like there were many times in many different lives, including this one, where she was kind of stifled and persecuted and not able to speak and project her voice. And so even in that healing moment, when she was choosing to project those old traumatic wounds that happened in a physical sense were coming through in an energetic sense and still causing her some of that trauma in a physical way, which is, it's very cool, but also it's so confusing sometimes because it feels so physical for us that it's very hard sometimes for people, especially if they don't really know the structure of things and how healing really works, to separate themselves and understand that it's really emotional too, because it all works hand in hand. So it's very cool that you bring that up, but also I feel so bad for her because that's traumatic. Ouch, that's traumatic.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, what she went through, but it offered such healing. And, you know, we were all women who are kind of on this spiritual journey and path. And it's interesting, like Crystal was referring to, there are so many layers. There are so many things that happen. And often when we incarnate or we have certain wounds or fears or things that come, there's an association with a past life. I was like born with this crazy fear of police, like crazy. And my mom's like, what the fuck? Like, you're like the cops weren't at your house. You grew up in a nice neighborhood as a little kid. Like my mom went through some shit and she experienced it. And she's like, I don't understand. Like I moved you out of this. Like what is going on? But for me, it was a bunch of past life stuff. And then I started having past life flashbacks. I was like a young kid who had been shot. I had been shot in a couple other lifetimes. I've definitely, you know, experienced past lives, especially once I started doing regressions where, you know, you get kind of offed for speaking your truth. But there's a lot of other things like illness and disease and like, come on, like, let's think about it. Like, this is one of the cushiest lifetimes we've had yet so far that we know of. And so there's these things come in for a reason, and they're just coming in. Triggers are opportunities to heal. So it sounds really scary, but every time I kind of go down one of those scary roads or look at one of those maybe scarier past lives, it's always something pertinent to now. It's always something happening in my life or for the highest good. And when I'm brave enough to kind of peel back the veil and look at it, it often has great reward behind it. And I feel free and empowered. And so many of us have many, many lifetimes where we weren't able to speak our truth. Whether you were a witch in one of the witchy kind of eras, whether you were just someone who was being honest because you saw something happening. Many, many men experience this in war. Like they've wanted to speak the truth. They've wanted to stop things from happening and they had no choice. There's just so many opportunities where this has happened. And many of us growing up, you know, as kids in general, you're meant to, you know, generation after generation, we're getting better. But lots of times kids weren't allowed to speak their truth or use their voices. So everyone's working on this and healing it. And it sounds a little scary, but really it's a gateway to a lot of freedom, I think.
I think it's cool. I love it in all the ways. And it's funny because when you first start out, some people like, I don't know how you were. I personally was terrified to feel the feels and how they came through, because it's like a deeper level in what you're used to dealing with. Once you actually open the door and allow things to be processed, it's a different type of feeling behind it. And it can be very overwhelming to people when they start to feel it, which also usually causes that wall to go back up. And then they're like, no, don't want that to come through. And then they keep themselves from feeling it. And then you get just the physical manifestations inside of the body because you're not allowing the things to surface. Whereas, like, if you allow the things to surface and you try to also heal, those things become a lot slower or a lot less. And so, like, you know, when I talked about, because I only have it to put into physical means through what I experience with the autoimmunes, like when I have a Crohn's flare, I know that it has to do something specifically with. So that's when I say my affirmations and I get out my book. Louise Hay is beautiful. I get out my book and I read it, and it'll go away within like seconds, because I'm acknowledging it for what it is. And I'm like, okay, let's pinpoint, let's try to determine blah, blah, blah. But then in that moment, I embrace myself and love myself through whatever it is that I'm physically feeling, and allow myself to emotionally also receive that love in a different way versus what I did in the past. So it's really kind of cool.
It goes hand in hand. It's like we have to feel, we have to acknowledge what the trigger is, what the feeling is that's coming up. It's not there for no reason. But the whole thing is we don't have to let it rule us. We don't have to stay in it longer than it needs to be there. And a lot of times it's something old coming up that wants to be healed. And if you haven't given it the time it deserves, use that time the next time it comes up and say, all right, we're going to sit down here, sadness or whatever it is, and we're going to take a look at what happened and see what we can do to release that. And you can do any kind of, there's umpteen bazillion amounts of opportunities and healing rituals in order to do that with yourself. And then, like Crystal said, about kind of bossing up and saying, I just don't want to feel this way anymore. And I know that I have the power of doing that. So I'm going to work really hard on shifting and changing that. And that's where all those positive affirmations and those types of tools come in, because we got to reprogram, and it takes a little bit of work.
I'm going to do this just really quick, because every single week I have to tell the poor YouTube people that we can't see your comments. I don't know why we can't see them as they come in. We're not ignoring you, I promise, but I can't see the actual comment as it comes in. We have Jennifer. She says, It's funny you say that because I have been having similar issues. Tracy,
Mm.
you didn't miss much. We did most of the talking after you came in. You're fine. Jennifer also says, I am going through a healing process, and I told my guides during a meeting that it's coming through my skin. As the trauma is released from the muscles and in the cells, I'm having it come through the skin. LOL hives, bahaha. And that's actually true. It's a physical manifestation of what's surfacing through. So yeah, that's not too far fetched for you to be going through something like that. She says, I think it's beautiful, just a little itchy. LMAO.
Sounds a little itchy. Got to make yourself like a bath or something. And make sure we look that up in Louise and whatever the affirmation is for hives, because it'll help if we put it all together. It's like the mind, body, soul, and spirit healing balm. And sometimes when we're detoxing, we can have physical effects like that.
Absolutely. We have Catherine Lee who says, hey, sending you love, positive energy, good vibes, light, and healing. Thank you, Catherine. And then Denise says, I've always had a fear of spaces I can't see into or small spaces. Also, I've always had trouble speaking. Found out I was kept in a small cage in a past life, unable to speak my lesson, and that is to regain my voice and empower myself through healing. Thank you, Crystal. I don't generally get past life stuff unless spirits like pow, and then they're like, "Hey, you got to tell them this," because then it all like pieces things together and it's crazy. But
Yeah.
yes, we have a lot of things that come to the surface in amazing ways that we don't ever think of or think to think of, I guess, in those moments. And it's weird. How are we supposed to piece together that we had something happen? Like, I don't know if I was drowned in a past life. How am I supposed to know that? So why is it coming through in this life? It's so stupid how much trauma gets caught in our DNA systems. So craziness.
It is, but it's also divine, I think. There's reasons for it. I think there's opportunities, like I said, to get to know yourself better and to bring in wisdom from past lives as well. We may have gone through trauma, but we also, the other side of that is we gained a lot of wisdom and knowledge from different things. So it's always, I always say, if something comes through, it's for the highest good of this lifetime. And it's to give you a little bit of a clue or a hint, whether that's to help you with some resilience and let you know you've gotten through this before, whether that's to say, hey, you know, you have this fear because this happened, but it's okay and it's safe now to take a look at it and let it outside the box.
So we have Trusty Louise. Hey, like
Oh,
always, we're looking up hives for you, Jennifer. So hives are small hidden fears, mountains out of molehills. And it says, I bring peace to every corner of my life. So that is what Louise has to say about that. And I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of us sometimes at some aspects or some areas of our life make mountains out of molehills, especially when the anxiety gets too much and we are like, because we feel like we're caving on the inside. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with some of our spiritual aspects of who we are and how we're growing. So don't be hard on yourself, but love yourself through it.
Love yourself through it. That is our theme this month. That's You Got Us Feeling. It's love breaks the matrix, love wins. And it's a lot of times, almost everything comes down to a choice between love and fear. And there's never been a better time to start thinking about that and taking a choice, like whether that's what you're putting in your body, whether that's, you know, what you're eating or what you're listening to or the news that you're absorbing, whether that's facing a fear, speaking a truth. You know, nothing's too big or too small to choose love or to choose fear.
Hello, Trisha. We welcome all of you. Emily says, yes, we got through it before and it is safe to take a look at it now. So that's super awesome. And I love healing because there's a lot of people. I had a client earlier today that was experiencing a huge healing growth phase. And it's funny because like when we start off as skeptics and really don't have any, it causes such an imbalance inside of us because we don't know what we're looking for or what the answer is or even how to get it. And then on top of that, we self-doubt. And then there's all these weird avenues that come to the surface because of that. And then so many people like, and I say choose, but I just want you to hear that I'm not like, it's not a choice. You're like, oh, well, I'm going to shut this crap down right now. That's not what that is. It gets overwhelming. And so when it's overwhelming, we don't know what to do with it. And so what we do is what we've been taught to do and essentially put it on the back burner and deal with it another day. And it just kind of like keeps coming up to the surface. And it's so weird how much that causes us to be in a state of depression or anxiety a lot of the times in our life. And it's just a weird cycle that we keep reliving through, but think it's more physical or mental than we understand it's emotional. And so once we choose to like walk through the system and try to open the doors differently, that's when all the cool things start to happen in our life. And that's when all the things start to kind of like unfold for us that we never thought were actually going to happen after all that hard work. And we're running on an endless treadmill system. And it's just so cool to see people have that light bulb moment and be like, oh yeah, okay. Because, and Mandee, I know you are such a good person when it comes to like affirmations, self-love, and telling ourselves and to give ourselves gratefulness during the day when we're feeling a little spicy and a little whatever. And so it's really fun to see the system of like almost the fake it till you make it. You speak yourself, speak yourself, speak yourself, speak yourself until you believe it. And it's not that you're faking it per se. It's like you're reaffirming, because there's a part of your brain or a piece of your brain that's not allowing you to feel that affirmation in the moment, which is essentially from all that past stuff. That is what it is. But the more you say it, the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more you're going to start to feel different. And so it is essentially faking it until you make it. But at the same time, it's also absorbing and understanding, because it's retraining your brain to see life in a different set of standards in a different way. And that's where people have such a hard time. Like, you know, depression commercials where people are like, oh, so, you know, I talked to my dad and he's like, buck up, buttercup. And everybody's like, yeah, that was helpful. That's right. But it's also, I understand. I get the both aspects of that, because depression is a state. We all get into those depressions. We all get into deeper depressions sometimes. But we also have to lift ourselves out of those moments and really kind of look at our life and what we do have. And those are those moments where Mandee talks about your gratitude self. And you talk about all the things you have going for you in your life that helps kind of retrain or reaffirm different feelings for your life in that moment, which is a beautiful gift and healing that you're giving to yourself. That's also training you to heal yourself in different ways. It's all such a thing to kind of get there, but it's a cool experience through the growth. I can't say it any other way. It's cool, confusing, and also somewhat, I don't know, like anxious sometimes, and like, what do you need from me? What do you want from me? What are you expecting from me sometimes? But at the same time, they always come through. It just might be 2 years from today, because it's not meant for us to receive right now. It's meant for us to get later in life. But then once it all makes sense, we're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Like, now my life is better. Now I understand.
Yeah.
So then it all pieces together and you feel much better about the growth in the moment. And it's like they keep giving us these beautiful puzzle pieces. And then we feel a little bit better about our situation, because we're looking at this beautiful puzzle that started out with 3 pieces. Then it has 15 pieces. Then it has 25 pieces. And then we're like, yes, we're doing this. And then we feel better about ourselves. So it's one day at a time. It's a process.
One day at a time. I think one of the biggest like turning points for me was when I kind of just changed my perception of like, I'm never going to feel like doing anything that I need to do, because I had a lot of pain. I had crazy fibromyalgia and all kinds of like, I'd broken my back a few times and both my ankles really bad. And I had like all kinds of scar tissue and crazy things. So I was in pain a lot. And I had like, I literally was never going to feel like it. Like, and I was definitely really down because I wasn't able to do all the things like I used to do or wanted to do. And like, I'd come across, as we share on this one a lot, Mel Robbins. She's got a great video on how to stop screwing yourself. And it talks about the 5-second rule. And she talks about the neuroscience behind motivation and the fact that the body is really a faithful servant of the mind, which Louise Hay teaches us too, and many other teachers, and that our body really does try to protect us. If we're like, oh my God, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I have this like terrible meeting and I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to do this project. Then you wake up the next morning and you're super sick, or you've got a crazy headache and your body's like, what? I was protecting you. This is what you wanted, because we have free will. We have such a choice. And when we're overwhelmed, our angels and our higher self and the universe, like, I want to give you time or money or friends or whatever, but you're telling me you're overwhelmed, so you can't receive. So you have to like actually start to change your energy. So I started to embrace this concept of I'm not going to feel like it. And Mel teaches that when the time you have an impulse, you have 5 seconds to pair that with actual life force energy in order to co-create motivation, basically. So if you're on the couch and you're like, I should go to the gym, I should drop on the yoga mat, I should go drink a juice, I should call my friend, and you don't act on that within 5 seconds, you lose that impulse. And we all know that 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, we're like, shit, I should go to the gym, I should do this. So I was like, I'm going to start, messing around with this and becoming a lot more conscious. And especially since I was like, I'm definitely never going to feel like it. I'm in pain all day, every day. So let's just suck it up, buttercup, like you said, and see what we can do. And that's kind of the fake it till you make it energy. It's showing up for yourself and giving yourself an opportunity to observe how things would work for you. How, maybe this tool will help me. Maybe if I just set my ego aside and say, let's just give it a try. It might work out great. So what it is the fake it till you make it attitude is more just observing and showing up and giving something an honest try, without having a yes or no preconception about it, and just finding out how it feels and if it serves you after showing up for it for a disciplined amount of time. And that's where you also start to build self-love and self-trust, because as you start showing up for yourself to get on the yoga mat every day, or to do the writing, or to go to sleep at a certain time, then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm starting to respect myself more. I'm starting to build this energy of trust with myself. And then what happens is you start to open a gateway to trusting spirit and the angels, and you're able to get a lot more present. And you'll start to see signs and hear communication, and cool things happen. So like trust is really the foundation of all relationships, and the biggest relationship, which is the one here with us and our higher selves in this universe and multiverse and dimension we're in.
It's really cool because like that trust thing, when spirit's channeling for somebody, for me, and they have like no trust in spirit yet because they haven't been able to see spirit in their own life, they ask them, they're like, okay, so just do the thing where we call on our angels. And they'll be like, okay, so they've got like this really hectic stop that they have to do on their way to work every single day where they have to make a left-hand turn. Okay, you tell them to thank their angels for clearing a path so they can make a left-hand turn. Thank them because they know they're going to the store at the end of work and they absolutely hate going to the store. So thank them for asking their angels to clear out a parking space close to so they can get in and out and make it quick. And ask for that to be for the highest good of all concern. And as soon as you start asking your angels to provide for you in those moments, they actually start providing you in those moments. I have done this in every single aspect of my life. And I kid you not, even my family, even the most skeptical people that I'm surrounded by are like, what the crap is going on? Because I say it out loud. I'm like, okay, I thank my angels so very much for making sure that we can get in and out and blah, 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 because I'm in a hurry. And they're like, okay, what the hell was that? And I'm like, it's just them. It's them providing for us because we're asking them to provide. And it happens so instantly. And sometimes it might take a little bit longer because, it's noon and everybody's on lunch, but they still provide and they still do it. And they still work it out, and they still make sure that we can do what we need to do in the time frame that we need to. We just have to ask. And so many of us are stuck in systems where we don't ask because we don't know how to ask or what to ask, or are we asking the wrong things? There's no right, wrong, or indifferent way to do it. Just do it with respect and love, and they will always provide for you in every aspect of your life the way that you need. And that was one of the coolest experiences, to like actually watch that door open, but also see other people be like, okay, what is up? The best way that I do this, and I know you talk to angels. This is literally what you do for a living, Mandee. So you're probably talking to them and asking them stuff all day long, which is awesome. I get lost. I am so directionally challenged. And so when I go to the upper places in like the UP or whatever for readings and I have to come back, sometimes my GPS doesn't work because there's no internet service. And so I have no clue how to freaking get home. So I'm like, okay, Crystal's not going to freak the F out right now. And she knows she's going to make it home on time. So I'm just going to thank my guides, angels, higher helper beings, and everybody else that is working for my highest good to get me home and give me directions. I kid you all not. I will hear Crystal turn left. I turn left. I don't question it. Crystal, go straight. No, you're not supposed to turn there. Keep going straight. I go straight. They give me directions, and every freaking time I have made it home. This has happened I don't know how many times in my life, and I know by now I will always make it home. There's never lost. You are never lost. You cannot be lost in the eyes of God or the universe. Never lost. We're just where we are in the moment that we have to be, and we have to trust that they're helping lead us through the way. And those are cool practices to do in the physical to help us understand it in a more spiritual, especially if you've had trust barriers or whatever in your life.
I love that. I love all those examples because it makes us feel alive again. It makes us get really excited when we connect in with our own souls and our higher self and with God energy, and it like proves it to us. It's just incredible. And that was one of the things like I was able to remember as a kid was my mom used to call me like Pocahontas all the time because I would just like navigate everywhere we went. And she's super directionally challenged. She's like, I can't get us anywhere. I'm always lost. And I just like would get us to all kinds of places, even in other countries with no map, just like whatever, turn right, turn left. And I never thought it was weird because I just kind of remembered it and thought it was normal, you know? And many of us have kind of little quirks or these little things that come in with us. But especially I invite you, if that's a fear, if you're afraid of getting lost or you think you're directionally challenged, that would be a nice one to start playing with a little bit. And maybe going for a drive and turning off your phone on the way back and just seeing what happens. And then, you know, if you get a little nervous, turn it back on and see if you're back on path. But getting a little bit curious about what could happen could be a nice exercise.
It's really awesome. I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying that everybody should turn off their GPS if that's what they want to do. It's a trust experiment, that's for sure. I just get very anxious and freaked out. Like, I don't know what, once again, that's physicality is something I probably was lost. I don't know, probably died on some weird path somewhere. But I freak the F out about being lost. I'm like, oh my God, okay, Crystal, you're in the UP. Okay, there's not many places to go. You're surrounded by water, girl. Really, you'll find your way home. Just follow the circle. It'll happen eventually. But it's so cool how they just step in and they're like, okay, we got you, like we got your back. And it's weird because I feel like a lot of people get stuck in the how we're supposed to hear or what the audible level is or what is it coming in through. And I think a lot of people discount spirit and how it comes through because it comes through sometimes in our own voices, like in our own head. And so we're conditioned to think that that's us. It doesn't have to be us just because it's in our voice. Spirit, my guides, my angels, they don't come through with a different tone. They come in, they say what they say, and then they pop on out. It's very like boom, boom. Angels are more loving and warm. I will say that about my angels. But guides are very like straightforward, to the point, and then out. And so it's just getting to know what that feels like for you and learning how to trust that when it comes through and trying to decipher those things for yourself, but trusting also that it's coming through for the highest good and thanking them when you receive whatever it is.
Yeah, they thrive on that. We have some really good comments coming through. And
go ahead, my dear.
Yes. Do you want to go through and take a look at them, Crystal, and maybe put some of them up there?
I am going through. Olivia says, hi, Mama Julie. Julie says, Olivia, Haskins, Crystal, and Mandee are awesome. Thank you so very much. Trisha says, hello, Emily. Yes, we got through it before, and it's safe to take a look at it. Andrea Wilcox says, cans. Jennifer says, I got to share space with some pretty amazing women last week. I experienced a singing bowl cleansing. Holy crap. Wow. And I'm going to say holy crap on my end. I absolutely love seeing the bowls. They're so beautiful and wonderful, and they touch my soul. It was amazing. I released, and I felt a hive pop right above my eye. A hive pop right before my eye. Oh, wow. LOL. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Wow. Do you know, Jennifer, if you feel safe to share, do you know what's coming to the surface in you? Do you know what that might be? If you don't feel safe, it's okay too. I'm going to tell you that. She says, go, Mandee, go.
If you haven't experienced a sound bath, I encourage you to. Jennifer's one of my buddies, and I was at that same one, and I felt like this crazy, like, feeling to move, and all of a sudden my hips cracked like 1,000 cracks, like a tree trunk breaking in half. I've never experienced anything like it. It wasn't painful, but it was crazy, and everybody had all these really interesting recalibration experiences. And if you haven't experienced like a sound bath healing with some crystal singing bowls or some Tibetan singing bowls, I encourage you to maybe check it out, because you can just go and lay there and just be passive, and like the sounds do the work for you. All you have to do is be open to receiving them. So I just wanted to give that a bit of a shout out as another tool that might help to heal you.
It's really funny. I've been listening to that for the past week. I found a healing singing bowl thing that I've been listening to for meditation over the past week. It's just touching my soul differently right now. I don't know why, but it's like actually vibrating different parts of my souls. And I'm like, I love you. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I hope to have them someday. I really want some of my own just because they're awesome. Olivia says, learning to love myself and open up more with receiving messages from spirit guides. And Crystal helped me so much with that. What an awesome experience that was. Thank you. Jennifer once again gave you fire, my Mandee dear, because you are on fire at all times when speaking healing. Andrea says, I firmly believe in showing up to speak. I push myself to go with the flow and allow spirit to guide me. Such a beautiful thing to be able to do when we finally allow that through. CC says, how cool is that? I frequently do that with parking spaces, and it works almost every single time. They show up for us, and it's
Best
beautiful.
practice. Try it with parking spaces. If you're running late, all that stuff. Angels, please help me find a parking space. Angels, please help me catch the bus on time. Angels, please help me. Whatever it is you need. It's amazing. Check it out.
Tracy, I love you. This is a beautiful question. It's not stupid. No question is stupid if you don't know the answer to it. Just keep that in mind. And even if you do know the answer to it, maybe you just need validation or a little bit of affirmation. So don't hate yourself on that one. It says, I have a question, but does anybody else feel bad asking your angels or higher power for help? I feel like they may have other bigger things to take care of. Is that odd? I think that way. Mandee, what do you have to say about that?
I was hoping, I want to jam on this. So
okay, I was like, okay,
I used to feel bad. I have had good girl syndrome, like always felt like a burden, felt bad for like asking, for help, things like that. So as I came to learn how our connection with angels works and my connection with them, all of us, angels are assigned us when we incarnate, when we're born, and they're there to help us. That is their mission this entire time. All they want to do is sit there and help us. They're just hanging out like, there's my human. I love them. I really just want to help co-create with them. I really want to help give them the nudges and the pushes that they need. But this is where that asking permission comes from and allowing thing comes from. It's, we have to not only ask for permission by intending and co-creating with what we want, but we also have to then allow ourselves to receive. So like when you ask them, hey, angels, help me find a parking spot, and you get there, like Crystal said, say thank you. Like, wow, okay, this is amazing. Saying thank you signifies that you are wanting to receive. They, when we are up in the non-physical, as far as I've been shown, you can't feel any, like the heavenly realms, any guilt, shame, criticism, fear, any of the lower vibrational feelings. And we are not a burden to our angels or guides at all. In fact, all they want to do is help us. I don't know if they can get bored. It seems to me like they could get bored, but I don't think that exists for them. But they're there to help you as much as humanly possible for yourself. And that's the other thing, it's at the end of the day, it's up to us. It's up to us to pick up the shovel. It's up to us to move our feet. Like the miracles are truly a shift in perception. And it's when you can really look at things in a different way and release maybe some negative feelings something was holding over you and creating peace in your life, or releasing, a blockage that you had. And all of a sudden, whether it was like a financial thing or a physical thing, and all of a sudden things are flowing and moving in a different way. These are the miracles. These are the things that happen for us as a result of doing this. And we can never ask for too much or too little. You can be the littlest thing, like help me get to work on time, or the biggest thing, help me get through this breakup, help me do whatever it is. They're there to help you. And do not even ever worry about being a burden to them or feeling bad for asking for help.
No, because you're giving them something to do. And so like, that's it. That they're here for us on all the levels. It's really fun because like, not just angels, when I channel also, and the only reason I'm touching on this is because you said something truly magical in all of that stuff that you just said, which was also magical. You said that they didn't feel those lower vibration energies. When I'm channeling, spirit comes through sometimes with lower vibrational energies, such as like anger, frustration, some of those things. Okay. Now, what spirit's doing, and I think it's really fun to like tap on this because I feel like it could be considered like a miscommunication on my end, because I also say that spirit doesn't feel those things. All they feel is love on the other side. So when you're loved ones are kind of coming through and channeling those things to me, what they're doing is they're giving it through a perspective of understanding what would have been felt in that moment and or what would have been felt by you, and also validating for you that they understand the perception of where you're standing or the perception of what's happening and or what they should be feeling. I had spirit break it down so beautifully for one person. This person was essentially murdered, and there was kind of like, there's justice but very little justice, and so people are so frustrated. And one of the funniest things this dude said, because he was a very spicy person and very boisterous in his life, he said, what pisses me off the most is that I'm pissed and I can't feel pissed. And I will never forget that comment. It actually made me laugh out loud because he wanted to be mad so bad, but nobody would allow him to feel those feelings. It like was taken from him. But like he knew that that was the emotion that he would feel in these moments if he were still human. And sometimes we're so like on the other side, sometimes we so much want to stay connected to that ego that we have and that physicality of what we had when we're here. And so it's not that they're feeling these awful emotions per se. They're giving me the perception of what emotions would be felt in those moments to help you understand that they're connecting from where they are. And so Mandee is accurate as F, okay? 100%. They only feel love. They feel divinity. They feel all the peace and all the things over on the other side. But they also understand you don't. They understand you're going through it, and they don't want you to feel like you're alone in the going through it process. And so that's why they give the twofold in all of these things, because they want you to know you're not alone. And so I thought it was really cool how you said that, but also explaining it for all these beautiful people here who I know have gifts and talents and all the things, because that seems to be the most confusion that people like have when they're like, okay, but I thought they could only feel love. Well, they do. But they also are understanding and capable of seeing, feeling, and experiencing because they are there with you, which is also what Mandee said. They're always here. They're working for us, even our loved ones. There's no question too big, too small, no manifestation too big, too small to get from spirit. That's their job. They're here to help us. They're aides in our lives because we're a part of them too. Like Mandee's God, your God. All of us have that light being inside of us. And so we're all part of that collective consciousness. We are the guides, separately and together, which is why we're here to co-create together, because we're bouncing things from each other. We are the source. And so why would we be separate from it? Ask, 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 because that's what they're here to do, because that's what you're here to grow from. And so when you've had traumatic experiences and you're stuck a little bit within yourself, Tracy, my dear, I'm talking to you specifically in this, know and understand that they want you to live in that divinity of what your soul has always supposed to have been and supposed to have experienced. It just is a little tougher for some of us, and we have a little bit harder paths. And that's why you're feeling that like push and pull system that you're feeling, because you don't feel comfortable asking and being vulnerable, because you've always been the person in life that people turn to, and you've always had to kind of carry that on your shoulders. But it's your time now. Ask.
Yes.
Sorry, Mandee. I apologize for that. I was like, I gotta touch on this one for a second, because people question that all the time. They're like, I thought you said all they felt was love. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but we also got to talk about this a little bit, because they do feel love. But all of those things.
The name of our show is Spirit Speak. Let it happen, let it flow. And I think we should go back and look at some of these comments too. Where did we leave off?
Yes. We left off at Carrie. We just read Tracy's, and Carrie's was next. She says, I am also very intuitive when it comes to directions. I am never lost, even when I have no idea where I am.
Nice.
I love that.
Gotta have faith.
I remember Pat Longo. She's my mentor. She told me that in the very beginning. Crystal, nothing can be lost in the eyes of God. So no matter where you are in life, you're always found. And I was like, whoa, that touched my soul, because when we're feeling lost, that's one of those affirmations that I give myself. Again, I'm like, Crystal, nobody's lost in the eyes of God. They know exactly where you are. You're right where you need to be. Live in the moment and allow yourself to just sit and be. Andrea says, yes, spirit always comes through telepathically for me. And that's beautiful too. Joshua, hello, can I get a reading? What is your question, Josh? And then Una says, hello, Jennifer. I love her to pieces. I just love Jennifer. You are so free and so beautiful, and I love you. I know she is, and I absolutely love her. She says, yes, thank you for asking. Right now, I am healing deep trauma. I am getting the good stuff, the stuff that has negative effects on my life. Trauma causes us to adapt in a way that is not true to ourselves. Well, I am not longer willing to live like that. I think it's supposed to say I'm no longer willing to live like that. So I am changing my thoughts. I let love, friendship, light, trust, and a special family in that night. I let go of fear and doubt in a safe place. And that is beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm.
Were you pulling a card for Josh, my dear? Or do we not know
sure
what yet?
I can do that.
I'm sorry.
I knew you asked if he had a question, so
yeah, he hasn't commented yet. Julie
okay.
says, I feel like I keep my guides busy, but I definitely need help. Well, I think we all do. That's the whole purpose. They're all busy. Tracy says, thank you. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that answer. Jennifer says, hi. Trisha says, I keep asking my angels, please let my boss allow me to work from home.
Ooh, this is good.
Do it in a manifestation.
Yes, you go first.
Do that in a manifestation for yourself and create that for yourself. Your guides and angels can't necessarily change the outcome of what's taking place right now, but you can. Okay. And so it's kind of like a timeline of events. When we want something, but we don't know how we're supposed to get there, we put it out there in manifestation form. And so be as 100% like down to the letter what it is that you're looking for. Okay. And be open to the fact that they may bring in a different job for you. It may not be the same job. However, it may better suit you in a lot of different areas, because if you want that job specifically, or to keep that job, tell them that's what you want, but then make it a space for you to be able to work from home or work remotely or whatever it is that you want. Open that door for it yourself and put it out there. If you email me, I can send you paperwork, because in that I have sample manifestations that I have written up specifically to kind of give you like the gist of how I do it or how manifestations work, because I make a list first when I'm doing them. I make a list of all the things that I want to receive, and then I revisit it a couple times. I journal on it a couple times. I think about it a couple times. And then when I'm done, I put it into a paragraph type form or whatever type form. And I thank my angels, guides, universe, everybody involved for creating this for me. And I make it as visual as possible. And I sit on it and I feel it. And I allow it to be in my space. And then it gets created around us. And go ahead, Mandee.
Oh, I was jamming with you. Yeah, I agree though. I would just, a simple one too is every day I'd get up and say, and feel. Just take a minute, take a couple minutes and take a few breaths and just say, I am so grateful I work from home. I'm so grateful my boss has made this happen for me. I am so grateful that I just get to go from my bed to my routine to my desk. Like, I just can't wait for it. And you want to get juicy with it, and you want to feel like what it would actually feel like, and like sit with that. So I would start there too.
Breathe it in. Let it be your life. Let it be a visual that you see every day. Sit on it. Like she said, feel it, taste it, all the things. You do you, and it will come. It will come. It doesn't matter like when it comes or how it comes, it will come. Spirit always gives you what you want. Always. And I always see people who are like, if you ask and ask and ask and you aren't receiving, that it's not meant for you. I don't believe that. I just think some things take longer. And so we have to give it the space and time. So if it takes 5 years, 10 years, it really doesn't matter. It's still a work in progress. And sometimes bigger things take bigger things because we need to learn a little bit more before we receive the bigger things. This isn't really a bigger thing. I think this is something you can manifest in this much time.
We need to trust. Sometimes, like a classic one is relationships. Like all day, every day, I'm doing readings, talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, is this going to be my person?" and all the things. And sometimes the things we're manifesting and wanting are not for our highest good. So we get a little redirected, and it's important to surrender and go with the flow and trust, because the right thing will be revealed to you when you allow yourself to receive.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to touch on this one. And Anne says, will me and my guy recover from the situation we are having at the moment and move forward together in the relationship, please? That is her question. And I'm going to have Mandee pull a card on this if you feel like you can. Crystal doesn't do love. She talks a big game about not doing love unless there's healing that needs to happen from the love questions, but that's not what you're asking right now. So
that's news to me. Crystal doesn't do love.
I know. I look at it this way. I have been divorced twice, and so therefore.
Okay. So, and you're getting ready to go through the love gauntlet. This is one of those times where it's like, all right, we can move forward, but it is going to take some things. So they're showing right now the King of Cups and the Three of Swords. This is that energy that you're feeling. You're feeling like you need to recover from a situation that's happening right now, and it's important to move forward. However, in order for you guys to move forward, there has to be a new foundation that's created. There has to be hurt that's acknowledged. There has to be discomfort that's acknowledged. It takes rawness and realness. They're showing your partner next month really focusing on work as much as possible and feeling overwhelmed and burdened by all the things that are coming and that are happening. But it's going to be happening, for both of you. And it's important to really focus on self-discipline and creating that new foundation within both of your lives. It's important to do whatever it is you can to become the best version of you at this time and show up for your own medicines, show up for the things that make you be the person you want to be in a relationship. And when that happens, we give our partners space to reflect that and do the same. And then they're showing within 3 months at the end, you get the Lovers and the Empress. They're showing you taking your power back, feeling a lot more worthy. They're showing mending coming through and it coming together. But it's only going to happen if you guys show up and do a little bit of work on your own and get really raw and real with things and figure out what needs to happen in order to have a better type of relationship. That's been another theme that's been coming up a lot this week, is really transmuting kind of codependent energy and becoming interdependent. And codependent energy, it's like 1 + 1 = kind of one thing, because you're two people coming together that have all these different aspects and are kind of hoping to complete one another or fill in gaps. And we do that naturally when we're in a totally healed state. However, when we find our own balance and we are our own best friend and we wake up every day happy, despite having a partner or not, and then we come together with another person because of that, what happens is 1 + 1 then equals like 3, and it becomes kind of synergy, and your relationship almost becomes this own entity in itself. And it's like we've got this person, and us instead of just us, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of that coming up right now, and they're just bowing to you, and they're just showing that you guys are wanting to do this and you're ready to do kind of some real things in order to make that happen. And they're sending a lot of love and blessings. And just remember, the outcome is the Lover and the Empress, and feeling like you've really done what you need to do to find your power within yourself again. So I hope that helps.
Wow, Mandee was doing the thing. They had me do this, and once again, sorry, you can't see that very well, but Spirit gives it in a relationship triangle. So how they present it to us is always in a triangle, because that's like the strongest shape. Geometrically, it is solid as crap, okay? When we partner with somebody, we have to stand hand in hand on top of the pyramid, because we're building our lives and structures in that, and everything else goes underneath us. And this is where people are going to hate me, because we have a weird jaded system where we think that kids should go before a spouse. Time out, no. Unless there's abuse taking place between your spouse or whatever, your children shouldn't come before your spouse, because your children are going to grow up, be out of the house, and it's you and your spouse, okay? And then you guys are going to have to fall in love, blah, blah, blah. So it should really be you and your partner standing on top of that triangle. And how Spirit was presenting this to me is they were making me feel as though people from the outside, situations from the outside, things like chaos happening from the outside are kind of coming in and putting a wedge between you and your partner. And so eventually what happens with other people's well, I think so-and-so should do this, or blah, blah, blah. When we let other people in and all these things, then it gets crazy and it gets dramatic, and everybody has this thing that they have to say about us and our lives and all the nonsense. Not one of their businesses, okay? Because eventually what happens is that wedge will get deep enough where one person's going to fall off the pyramid. Okay, and then you're going to feel as though you're not being loved, utilized, looked at, understood, all of the things that you need to do as an equal space. And they're almost making me feel like there are some things kind of pushing off between the two of you. And they're reminding you guys both of you, not just you, because I don't think it's just you. They're actually making me feel like your partner is actually a pretty cool human being. And I think they really want change and they really want different for their life. But I also think that they've been through a big struggle in their own life and they don't really know how to receive that, because sometimes we don't know because we weren't taught the proper ways to relationship. And so we kind of have a clouded view on what's right, what's wrong, because we're just recycling the same things that have been played out in our own lives. And I think they really want better for you. I think they want better for themselves. I just don't know that they have the clarity on how to get there. But also all of the nonsense keeps kind of coming in and they're trying their hardest. And they're really making me feel like you guys are just exhausted. Like we're exhausted. And so now would be a great time for both of you to really look at your life and create some serious boundaries and make sure that going forward, just like Mandee said, you create a new space for yourself, for what you guys want your life to look like. And everybody else's non-sub has to step outside. Your house has to be your guys' sanctuary and safe spot where safe conversations can happen and grow. And then you guys can move forward with love for yourselves and love for whatever it is that you want. Because truth be told, my relationship with Ben is none of anybody else's business. And how we do things isn't going to make sense for the people in my life from before. It just isn't, because we're building something different. And they're making me feel like that's what you guys are trying to do too. But it's almost like obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And just like Mandee said, that's part of the growth that you're both experiencing. So allow the healing, allow the love, allow you guys to kind of understand and be patient and kind with each other through the process, and understand it's a work in progress. And that's really all spirit can provide to you right now, because they're really making me feel like there's a lot of ups and downs that are kind of taking place. It's not just you, it's not just them. It's a lot that's going on in your guys' life, and it's getting harder and harder to leave it at the door at the end of the day. So they are giving you so much love, so much love, patience.
And also shared some details that he cheated and now she has a baby. So not fun, not an easy thing. However, this is what we're talking about, where it's like, all right, we got to tune into ourselves and what's best for our highest good and really start working on our own medicines. And things that happen, no matter how much they hurt, like it's happened, and we need to start working on finding peace, finding forgiveness, not letting that sort of thing control us as much as possible. And that just takes beautiful and divine time, and continuing to show up for ourselves and getting on the yoga mat when we don't feel like it, and doing the things, that, because what happens is if we start to distract ourselves with our own healing, with our own journey, then we start to soften our pain a little bit. And then we also get the opportunity to look at it with different perspectives, which helps us to start to shift. And you, as a woman in this relationship and as the mothership, everything is energetically connected. So the more you keep working on yourself as much as possible, no matter how hard it is, even if it just starts with laying in bed crying, listening to a meditation or a little sound bath healing or whatever it is, just those small steps help you to heal yourself, which helps everyone else around you energetically. And if you guys are co-parents, you guys are in each other's lives forever and need to co-parent anyway. So this is really going to just help everyone involved. Easier said than done, but the more you show up for yourself, the more opportunity there is for shift and change and for growth and for healing.
It's not funny. I say that word too much. It's not funny, but it's weird how we change and shift. Ben and I talk about this all the time. He's like super insecure about cheating. Okay. He's super insecure. He's not with me because I tell the truth very bluntly. And he knows damn well that if I'm going to stray, I'm going to tell him first, because that's exactly what Crystal does. I'll look him in the eye and be like, yeah, I'm calling somebody because I need something else for myself. And he knows this about me. But it's weird, because that used to be a thing for me. But I know so much in the core of who I am that if Ben were to cheat on me, it has nothing to do with me. In that moment, I would have to take a reflection and take a look at how it happened, what the situation, what the circumstances would be, all of the things, and then make a determination. But also at the end of the day, I am so separate from that space now, where it's just kind of like, it is what it is. And I don't know if that's a weird growth that's taken place, and like that detachment phase that I'm just like, whatever he's dealing with, whatever he's dealing with is his, but I can't take offense to that. And I've told him that. It's really funny because we have conversations about cheating, and every single time he's like, I don't know if I'd be able to like get through that. And I'm like, I feel like I probably could, as long as you changed and did the work and all the things. I actually feel like I probably could get through it, because whatever he would be experiencing would not be a reflection of me. It has nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with me, but not everybody's there. And sometimes those are things that can't be overcome by other people. So don't hear me wrong. It's a personal preference, and it's where you are in your life. And no matter what choice you make going forward is the right choice for you. So just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to push any agenda. We all feel differently about certain things, and we all have different boundaries for our lives. But also, I think loving yourself in this moment and realizing that has nothing to do with you will probably be a safe place for you, especially if you have this child and all of these things, because that opens a whole new can of worms for our feelings and who we are and how we see ourselves. And then hormones, holy hell, let's not get into the hormone changes and all the things that happen with pregnancy, with babies, and all the time that it takes to get ourselves back regulated. It's an emotional time, and our body's changing. And I just hope that you're taking the time every single day to give yourself the love that you deserve to. So.
Beautiful.
So we have a lot of comments. Thank you, ladies. I love you. I'm working on the texting. Hi, everybody. How is everyone? Welcome, Casey. Great. How are you? I would love a card pulled if you feel drawn, says Casey. Casey's, please, if you have this. And then
Sure.
Oh, wait, is Casey a man? I can't see your picture. I'm so sorry. I feel like Casey's a man, and I'm really being stupid right now, and I'm so sorry. I can't see your picture because I'm blind as a Batgirl. Mandee, if you feel like pulling a card for Casey, could you please?
For Casey. We got 3. So I pulled from the Rebecca Campbell Starseed deck. The first one is the Higher Wraith. Longing for home, homesickness for the stars. They're just showing a lot of personal growth happening for you at this time, Casey. And while that's happening, there's also this void. There's this separation. There's this feeling of a little bit of loneliness, and like there's meant to be a connection to something more. And they're just showing that you are an old soul. There's been many times where you've been on this planet and other planets, and that you're longing for that sense of home, that sense of feeling completely loved and accepted for exactly who you are at this time. And when we are up in heaven in the non-physical realms, we feel that. And they just want you to know that at any point when you're starting to feel that kind of homesickness feeling in you, know that it's just an opportunity for you to rock yourself back into your soul state, which is just divine love and grace and total acceptance. And that's really hard for most of us to attain at this time right now here in Earth School, which is your next card, which is perfect. Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. You're expanding right now. It's, I always like to just describe it as when we are ascending and growing, it's like going up a spiral staircase, and you get to the landing and the stairs that were below you then fall away because you got to this new next level. So you've created a lot of different things in your life that have created some more peace and some more healing. However, there's this whole nother level coming in, and it's opportunities to grow, particularly in relationships. They're showing the one with yourself and with others, and how you show up. There might be some like micromanaging tendencies that happen. They're just showing that's just out of some old traumas and dramas, and it's just coming up to be a little bit more released, and some co-creative things are happening for you. So pay attention to the lessons that are coming up right now. Last but not least, you got the Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust. No, everything that's happening right now is happening for you. You are divinely protected. Things are meant to be stretched a little at this time. Your heart is expanding a lot, but do yourself a favor. Ask the angels to surround you in white and blue light often, to protect you, to be there with you, to help reveal to you that which you need to know, and to help build even stronger trust with yourself, with others, with the angels, and with the multiverse. So I hope that helps, Casey.
Casey validated. It's a woman. Thank you, Casey. I'm so sorry. Like, I can't see, but I swear to God, it looks like there's a beard in that picture. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say I do have, and you said that you lost your sister in M, which I'm gathering as mom, because I do believe that it's mom energy that I'm getting because she's raising hands. She's doing this, which means she could not speak or communicate prior to her passing, but she's also snapping her fingers and going downhill very fast for me. She's giving me a head to toe numbness state, which usually means to me that they're in a sleep state, but she's giving it to me in a short period of time, which means that it was like very short for her. And the transition processes, I feel like, very quick, almost too quick to be able to kind of grasp and wrap our head around all of the things that are taking place, because she's almost giving it to me in like a boom, boom, boom type of way, which means that it kind of happens, the diagnosis, whatever takes place, and then all of a sudden we go downhill and she's tying her hands behind her back, which usually means to me that nobody really had the opportunity to make any types of decisions, changes in the transformation of what was taking place with her body. She gives you lots and lots of love, but she's also giving separation, which usually means to me separation with family members, separation in some form or fashion. But when she's giving this to me, she's also tying a huge, beautiful bow around you, which usually means to me that you are surrounded with love, even though there may be separation from some of the people that you've kind of had to separate yourself from because of whatever animosities, frustrations, or whatever took place. And so she's really giving you lots of love for finally taking that step up for yourself over the past 1.5 to 2 years, and really starting to really look at yourself in the mirror and seeing what a magical, amazing human being you are. She's also taking and she is presenting to me a baton from her heart to yours. That usually means that we're a whole lot alike, but I'm going to tell you, she's not making me feel like that's the case. She's actually making me feel as though that you were the gift given to the family, because you kind of came in, just like Mandee said, this beautiful old soul with a different perspective, a different view, a different vibe, a different understanding. And she's almost making me feel as though that kind of has always like felt off to you, because I feel like nobody's seeing me, understanding me, receiving me the way that I want to be received. And so what she's doing is she's just making me feel as though you weren't always as loved as what you needed to be. Essentially, a beautiful gallon-sized kid growing up in a pint-sized family may have been the most beautiful family in the world, but sometimes we're not able to fill the cups of others because our cup is only this full. And so what she really wants you to know going forward in your life, that she is 100% going to be there through the process of everything taking place, because I do think that you're in a transition phase right now. She is opening a door for me, but she's also stopping at my stop sign. When we stop at the stop sign, that usually means to me that you haven't decided which path you want to go on, and it's not the right time for you to do that. Sometimes we need a moment to refresh, refocus, and see which is actually going to be the best version for ourselves going forward. Just because you've been working on it for 10 years doesn't mean it's going to suit you best in the next 5 to 10 years of your life, because you're not different, or you're different. You're not the same person you used to be. And so she wants you to know that this stagnant energy that you're experiencing is actually for the highest good of all concerned. Give yourself patience, give yourself faith, and give yourself love, and understand that just because you're at the stop sign doesn't mean you're stagnant. Also, giving you lots of love, because when the time is supposed to happen, the time is going to happen fast. And this is when I see people stepping up to this beautiful cliff. Like, it's dark, it's dreary, there's rain, there's fog. Like, it is the worst cliff in the world. It's terrifying. You look over the cliff and you see all of this, like, you see water and ocean and crashing upon the rocks, but you're getting pushed further and further and closer and closer. And then we start to feel very overwhelmed because, oh my God, everything's changing in our life all at once, and we don't know what the crap to do to it, and we resist going over the edge. You have a net. The net will always be there. You can't see the net because there's a layer of clouds. And so if you give them a lot of love and you give them a lot of trust and you free fall off from that, you are going to experience the most beautiful, blissful, amazing, wonderful things, knowing that they are always going to be there to catch you. So please fall with grace and know that you're being embraced with love. Okay?
Casey gave you some confirmations too, saying that her mom hasn't passed yet. She's still living, but she's had her sister and multiple close family members have passed, but not her mom, but that her sister was a mother.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you, this woman's coming through as a mother figure, probably grandma, based on how I'm receiving it, only because this is mom. She is coming through as mom, 100% mom vibes coming in. When they give me my triangle, it means we look down upon everybody as mom. Also probably spicy. I feel like this woman was somebody who meant what she said and said what she meant, and a little bit pushy in a lot of areas in life. She's a real fun character. but she's also a beautiful, loving, caring, kind person. And so she just really is making me feel like it was a struggle with her health. Like I feel like I'm struggling on and off with my health. My chest, my heart, all the things are just not working properly prior to my passing. Like it's all just so heavy. And she is really making me feel like it was a lot of a struggle. Her family surrounded her, loved her, was there for her, punched her little time card, which means they were all there around the clock, but they just couldn't make any changes. And so she's really, really, really making me feel as though you're doing the greatest things for yourself moving forward. But yeah, keep going, take the fall, do the leap, do the things, be the different version of yourself, and allow yourself to be that big, beautiful, expressive energy that you are. Because I'm betting you are the person that walks into a room and people look before you even walk in the door, because your energy is meeting people before you do. Okay. You're that person. So embrace that and see that as a quality that's big and beautiful that should be shared in whatever way you choose to share it.
Oh, that is awesome. All right. So we did get some other comments coming through too that I just want to make sure we check out. Carrie felt like there was that was a reading for her too, because so much resonated. Aww. Yeah. And then she asked for a quick card if we feel inclined for Carrie.
Love Carrie.
Me too.
I need to have Carrie on here. Or Carrie sometimes needs to do the empowered woman spiel.
You are not alone. Isolation, physical connections, community. This is a time right now for you to allow yourself to be connected. You are not alone. They're kind of giggling and showing you've been enjoying some of your alone time because it's your time to commune with spirit, and you've been diving in closer in your relationship with spirit and what that looks like. And then they're also showing that you have taken some time maybe to yourself, but now you're rebuilding a newer community that feels a little bit more in alignment. They're showing some new soul sisters and brothers coming your way, maybe some old ones that you now can jam about certain things that you didn't connect with before. And they just want you to know right now that you're super held, you're super loved, and you are not alone at this time, Carrie. And they're really just giggling and enjoying creating a relationship with you. And I think they're sending you some pretty funny things lately. So pay attention to that.
I love Carrie. She has such a fun life. I mean, she's been through a lot, but she has a fun life. And like I said, someday hopefully she'll be on here, because she used to teach like empowered women classes and like how to kind of stand in your space and like learn to utilize your voice and all these fun things, because that's not always easy for us women to do. So it's interesting. We have Andrea that says, can you, Mandee, pull a card for me? Mandy's on fire tonight. Can we give her lots of love?
Andrea, elder, move beyond ancestral patterns. You want to say something? Is that raising your hand, Kristen?
Nope. We're just raising the roof for her, because already I know that this is a card for her.
Well, there's several things to it. Not only do you hold that energy, they're kind of pointing to me, they're laughing. They're like, you've held that energy, the elder energy, since you were a kid. You're a teacher, you're a way shower, you are able to stand strong and look at things from, an emotionally mature kind of view. And there's also just this passing of baton to you right now, where you really are the wisdom keeper in your tribes, in your areas, in your life. And it's that your voice really does matter, and that you take time and you think about it to come from your heart and what you want to share with people. They're also showing they're really proud of you, because you've done some deeper shadow work and some healing, and you've grown a lot in some ways to heal some patterns that have been present in your family throughout generations. And because you've been able to heal some things within yourself, and you're starting to, it's really shifting that impact that it has on your lineage. And they're just really proud of you. So there's just a lot that has to do with this elder, but it's a big old bow of gratitude to you as well for everything that you've done and for the space that you're carrying.
Denise also asked if you could pull a card for her. And while you are doing that, I'm going to highlight this. Casey, you don't have to apologize for that at all. I don't take offense to it. I know that somebody needed to hear whatever came through, or it will resonate with you after the fact. So I have full trust in spirit. because she said, I'm sorry, I didn't feel it fully resonates. Maybe it was for somebody else watching. That's completely fine. I know that spirit gives what spirit gives. And most of the time, every time literally have people who contact me 3 years after a reading and they're like, okay, so now it makes sense. I understand what that meant and blah, 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 blah. It'll all come through when it needs to for whoever it was for. So it's cool. No need to apologize. It's fine.
Glad you're here holding the space.
Nope, it's cool.
So for Denise, I pulled from the angel deck and you got Archangel Michael. You are protected. Thank you, Michael, for surrounding me with your protective light. They're showing, if you're not already, take a few breaths whenever you can throughout your day and ask Archangel Michael to surround you in white and blue light and protect you. Whether it's because you're nervous, because you're going to have a conversation, whether it's work coming up, whether it's, showing up for yourself, whether there's a fear happening, afraid of driving, something like that. At any point, they're just showing, do your best to connect with the angels and ask Archangel Michael to shield you. I just take a few breaths and I say, Archangel, thank you for surrounding me in white and blue light and protecting me. And it just makes all the difference in the world for me. So just know you're safe. You're protected with all the things that are happening in your life. It's safe to move forward in the things that are happening for you, and you are protected at this time.
There you go, Denise. We love you. So we do have another person asking for a card. I am going to have to go though. I am so sorry. So like Ben and I only get to talk for this period of time because he's in California and this is 8:30 is our time to talk. So I am going to have to go.
Okay. Last one. Is this for Jen?
Yep, this is for Jen.
And then we're off for Jen. Jen, you got the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life one big moving prayer. This is for Jen, and this is for a lot of us tonight. Let's really just emphasizes the self-trust thing, showing up for yourself. They're showing, Jen, there's been a lot of things that are happening for you at this time, and there's a lot of things you've been wanting to do. It's safe to show up for it, to let yourself be devoted and committed to the things that you want to do. And then what that's going to do, it's going to help you just become even more present, which helps you to turn life into a moving prayer. It's when all of a sudden you're drinking the water and you see it's 11:11 and you're like, thank you, angels, or you're taking a walk outside and something, this amazing bird flies by and you look up the totem for it and you're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to know right now. There's a lot of things happening for you and it all tunes in from the portal of your heart. So ask your heart what it wants most right now, and then do yourself a favor and be devoted to it. Maybe even if that's just going for a walk in nature every day for 2 weeks or 21 days or something. There's this beautiful energy wanting to encourage you to devote yourself to whatever it is that your heart's wanting most at this time. And it's a safe time to do that. So thank you all so much for tuning in with Crystal and I tonight on Spirit Speaks. You can find me on SeaGoddessHealingArts.com. Please give us a like, share, a follow. We're so grateful you tuned in tonight and that you're here with us. We have a full moon workshop coming up on the 16th. Would love for you to join that. I'm teaching it. Full moon workshop, how to build a relationship with your angels. So that's for $33. It's a group class on Zoom, so you can tune in from anywhere in the world, and you can find that right on our website, SeaGoddessHealingArts.com, under classes. Crystal, thank you so much for always co-creating such an awesome space. How can everyone follow you?
Mitten medium. I'm going to change it to midge, I'm sure, but no, Mitten medium. And also Spirit Speaks. That's where I'm at. And I'm grateful that you said that because I was going to ask you if you had any classes or anything that was coming up for everybody to see and share. So thank you for showing that. Thank you all so very much. You're wonderful. We love you. And thank you very much for being here with us tonight.
Sending love and blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.